If you're going to be a leader, you're going to lead a team, you're going to lead students, children, staff, in any area of leadership. And if you're on staff, you are a leader in some way. And the first task of leadership is to continually clarify and communicate vision.
Rick Warren built one of the most influential churches in America, sold 50 million books, and even prayed at a president's inauguration. But in just 3 years, he lost his son, his church, and his entire denomination. How does a man who taught millions to live with purpose end up losing everything he built? Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos like this. By 2009, Rick Warren had become a household name. He delivered the invocation at President Barack Obama's inauguration, blending theological conservatism with cultural influence few pastors achieve. Through his purpose-driven network, he trained over 400,000 pastors worldwide, and churches in 162 countries modeled their ministries after his 5 purposes. His conferences drew thousands, his strategies were taught in seminaries, and Time named him one of America's most influential people. Warren had crafted a legacy that seemed untouchable, but behind the accolades and global recognition, challenges were quietly building, ones that no seminar, strategy, or bestseller could prepare him for. On April 5, 2013, Rick Warren's life changed forever. His youngest son, Matthew, 27, died by suicide after years of battling depression. The Warren family had done everything: therapy, medication, residential programs, prayer from thousands. Nothing was enough. The public watched as the pastor who wrote The Purpose-Driven Life faced a pain no framework could fix. For the first time, which Warren's teachings met a limit, he took a 4-month sabbatical, returning changed, humbled, and deeply reflective. And while he tried to rebuild purpose around mental health advocacy, a storm was gathering over the very institutions he had spent decades shaping. By 2022, Rick Warren was ready to retire and handpick a successor. Andy Wood, a dynamic young pastor from San Jose, was chosen to carry the purpose-driven vision forward. On paper, the transition looked perfect. But just 8 months later, Wood resigned amid allegations from a previous ministry and internal conflicts with longtime staff. The carefully planned succession collapsed, exposing how fragile Warren's legacy was without him at the helm. The church he had built from a living room Bible study now faced uncertainty. And as if that wasn't enough, another challenge was about to strike from the denomination itself. In 2021, Saddleback Church ordained 3 women as pastors, a decision that clashed directly with the Southern Baptist Convention's long-held belief that pastoral roles were reserved for men. Rick Warren argued Scripture supported women leaders, citing examples from the New Testament, but the SBC didn't agree. In February 2023, their executive committee voted to remove Saddleback from the denomination. When the annual convention convened in June, 9,437 delegates upheld the expulsion, while only 1,212 supported Warren's church. 4 decades of service and influence were dismissed in 90 minutes. And in that moment, the man who shaped Evangelical America realized the boundaries he once respected could now erase him. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos like this. Rick Warren, the pastor who convinced millions to live with purpose, now watched his own institution slip from his hands. Saddleback Church was no longer led by him, and his carefully chosen successor had failed, and the denomination he had served faithfully for decades had expelled his church. The irony was stark. A man whose teachings promised meaning and direction now faced a life unraveling in public. The tools that built his empire, faith, leadership, strategy, couldn't prevent loss. Yet even in this collapse, fragments of influence remained, quietly operating in the background. But the question lingered: could Warren's legacy survive beyond the shadow of this 3-year downfall? Today, Saddleback Church still exists, and its members still gather, but the church Warren built is no longer under his leadership. The purpose-driven network continues in the background, yet it has lost the momentum and authority it once held. Rick Warren's influence remains in classrooms, small groups, and churches that study his frameworks, but the man who once defined evangelical leadership now observes from a distance. His teachings endure, but the institutions that carried his name have moved on. And even as the world remembers his accomplishments, one question hangs heavy in the air. When a founder steps back, what truly remains? Rick Warren once taught that how you finish the race matters most. Yet in 3 years, he lost his son, his church, and his denomination. 3 pillars of his life and legacy. The purpose-driven life promised meaning, but in his own story, suffering didn't neatly resolve. He watches quietly now, his lessons reaching millions, while his personal empire has shifted beyond his control. And as the world continues to study his methods and frameworks, one unsettling question remains unanswered. If even the man who built a purpose-driven empire can lose everything he loves, what does that mean for the rest of us?